Mike, turn your games down.
Popular mini episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's singing "This is Halloween, this is Halloween" with me tonight?
This is Joe Butler, and my devil trigger happens to be a jalapeno pepper.
And it's Dominic Cichocki here, and I am just existing today. I have been sick, so I am just getting over it, and this is now happening. So we get to talk about this game.
A game that I forgot I committed to until Dominic reminded me.
We're gonna have to Sisyphus this game, aren't we?
We're gonna what?
Have to Sisyphus this game, aren't we?
What does Sisyphus mean?
Where the tale of Sisyphus, where he pushes a boulder up a hill like forever.
Oh, well,
And then it falls down again, and then he has to push it back.
Oh, okay. Well, this is the last. This is the last not Tim Burton, but this is the last. We're going to talk about The Nightmare Before Christmas, The Pumpkin King, a GBA prequel to The Nightmare Before Christmas movie developed by Tosei, published by D3 and Buena Vista, depending on what, and came out in 2005.
I said it yesterday, and I'll say it today. Mike says this is last The Nightmare Before Christmas game, but we still have a whole Nightmare Before Christmas segment in that
It's not a game.
The Kingdom Hearts rhythm game.
I know, and I'm at some point going to redo Kingdom Hearts 1 just because I want to look at it with a different take after going through the entire series. But this is still not like, I don't have to play another game like this.
Right. This is just kind of it wasn't in Kingdom Hearts 3 or any of the other games we played this year, so here it is now.
Yeah, so this is different. So for those that don't know, they made a sequel game and a prequel game for The Nightmare Before Christmas, and we did the sequel game last year for Christmas, and now we're taking a look at, this is a Game Boy Advance, this is a Metroidvania game.
Yes.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah, this was the year of Nightmare Before Christmas making a huge comeback. Like, this was back when they realized that it could make money because all the kids that watched it turned into teenagers. So, like, you had Hot Topic when it was still cool, released like a whole bunch of clothing line and stuff. And, the movie was getting re-released probably on Blu-ray, I don't know. But, like, this came out and the other game came out, I want to say the same year. And so it was just a bunch of weird, goofy shit that it came out of nowhere, but I'm not surprised.
An attempt to just push the brand for some reason, even though they weren't developing a sequel, they weren't doing anything out of the ordinary with it. It was in Kingdom Hearts, but that was about it.
I wonder if Kingdom Hearts researched something and Disney was like, oh shit, and then they decided to re-release it.
But it doesn't explain why they developed two different games.
Got to take the brand, eat the brand, take the brand.
But I don't know, it's almost as random as being like, oh, we're gonna make a Rescuers sequel, another one. Sure, why not? But also, why?
Not even a sequel. It's like, I don't know, what? Give me any random Disney movie that's come out before the last 5 years.
Fucking Bolt.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Bolt's getting a re-release, and we're making a Bolt prequel and a Bolt game. One game's going to be for the mobile phone that's going to be a gacha where you can get different Bolts. And then we're also making a PS5 RPG Bolt game. And then we're releasing a bunch of shirts and backpacks and pops and collectibles. Why? Well, everyone likes Bolt, right? I guess.
Secretly targeting the furry market?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
But nonetheless, they, for some reason, released two different games. And, the first one was a very not great Devil May Cry alike, which was a Capcom published game. And now this one is kind of a budget Metroidvania, which does not have Capcom involved at all.
Adding to the list of okay Metroidvanias, along with Ebenezer and the Invisible World.
Are y'all playing that?
We did it yesterday.
Oh, how was that?
It was okay. You can listen to the episode when it comes out.
So this has the feel of the mid 2000s. They're not all licensed, but a lot of them are licensed and really simple budget games. I don't know if you ever played the Series of Unfortunate Events GBA game.
I heard those are surprisingly good. All of them, all the games that came out for that.
Sure. I mean, I was a kid when I had it, and so I didn't really get that far into it. But it was one of those things of this just feels weird, and it seems kind of cheap. But it's a game, and they made it as a game. And I'm thinking of the Assassin's Creed DS games.
I want to play those still.
Where it's this is a game, but it's so kind of simple and straightforward. It's kind of just you just gotta play it from beginning to end. There's no real challenge to it. It's just, this is something you could play, I guess.
So I have a question. Was anybody bothered by the way he climbs up ledges, or is it just me?
No, it's weird.
Okay, it really, really bothered me. I wouldn't look at it.
I don't understand.
I don't. When he
there's no
climbs,
problem.
I don't know. For some reason, when he climbs up ledges, the way his legs move bothered me, and I don't know why.
He's a skinny skeleton man, Mike. How else would he crawl
I
up?
also just hate. I hate Jack Skellington. Do not like Nightmare Before Christmas in any shape or form. Yet I've done 3 things on this podcast, but I'm just not a fan. And I can't tell you how many times I go to stores and I tell my wife, I am so happy you're not obsessed with this franchise. Because she loves Labyrinth, she loves Dark Crystal, and I look at all the merchandise for Nightmare Before Christmas, I'm like, I am so happy. Oh, it's just something that creeps me out.
Yeah, but I mean, like, as far as the Metroidvania goes, Jack Skellington has a bunch of different powers that he gets over time, and it's like there are like walls and barriers that he has to come back to and take down once he has the power up. It's the pretty traditional, simple stuff. And I'm actually watching a video to see how he climbs because I'm like, I did not notice this at all. But
He climbs a lot. Actually, it's really weird that there is no real double jump or anything.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, like, this is it's serviceable in a way. Like, it doesn't feel deep. It feels like just enough.
So is this y'all's first time playing this game?
Yes.
Me, yes.
Okay, because I got this game for the Game Boy Advance when I was like 12.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I very specifically remember. Even weirder, I remember getting this game on Christmas. Weird.
I mean, this is not really a Christmas game, but it's going to be right before Christmas for us because it's Nightmare Before Christmas. So
It's in the name.
Well, yeah, they always release these games. They always release stuff like this, like in between. Like they launch it before Halloween, and then they launch it all the way up until Christmas. So I mean, it's time before Christmas. It works for 2 holidays. I very specifically remember getting fucking stuck in this game. I don't remember why, but as a 12-year-old who's probably never played an actual Metroidvania, I got stuck.
I
And
can
so
see that.
I can see it too. This
And
game
so-
is a little confusing.
Yeah, and then like 5 years later, I was like, I should just boot this up and see where I was at and see where I can go from there. And I remember beating it in like 10 minutes, and I'm like, oh, I guess I was just at the ending and I didn't know where to go. Okay.
Well, to be fair, this game isn't super communicating to what to do all the time. I mean, sometimes it tells you, hey, you need to go to this zone and find this person, which makes it easier. You can just, you have a map, and you have a decent map, actually. Better than some other Christmas-themed Metrovanias we might have talked about already this year. But, like, because you can see the squares, you can see where you went, you can see where you didn't go. Like, the only thing that makes it difficult, there's a couple times where they just tell you, oh, hey, this guy needs help. But they don't tell you where to go, and I ran around the entire map and had to look up a walkthrough before I figured out, oh, I was just got to go over here.
There is one really great long play on YouTube that is just so helpful, especially for the last boss fight, which we'll get into later. But like, just some of the combat sequences, which were really challenging. I just had to look at it and be like, how are you meant to do this?
Mm-hmm. And there's no healing in battle,
No,
which I didn't like.
Yeah, again, it's straightforward. It's just enough to get by, but it's not deep in any like super meaningful way.
Oh god, no. I mean, the platforming is basic enough. I mean, he runs, he jumps,
He climbs.
he gets shit. Did he get a double jump?
No.
That was missing. One of my biggest issues with this game is I like Metrovanias. I like exploring. Half the shit you find in this game does nothing. It's just there for you to find stuff.
Yeah, you get a lot of like trinkets and stuff that you can find, and they do nothing.
And that bothers me. I'm like, why? Give me like health upgrades. Give me like, yes, there are 10 health upgrades, which I'm sure E-tanks, but give me something. Like, don't just like, oh, here you got this guy's hat. Well, I don't care about this guy. I don't care about anybody in this franchise.
Like, why do I have his hat if it doesn't mean anything? Like, what if I can't summon him or something?
Yeah, like it feels like maybe they had something planned, but then they just didn't do it, or they're like, we don't have an idea and we have to include this stuff.
No, this is from the time, I say this because I played a lot. This is from the time of really weird people treating Game Boy Advance games like toys in a weird way. So you got collectibles, or they are things you really didn't do anything. Even weirder question I can have for both of you. Did either of you play the weird mini games for this
No.
game?
Not really.
Yeah, they don't do anything. They're just there. And it, like other games have done that too. Like a bunch of the Super Mario RPG games or Super Mario games have like weird mini games that's just like, oh, it's just a mini games. Like, what does it do? Nothing. It's just kind of there to distract you, so you don't get mad that we sold you like a 20-hour game or an 8-hour game or a 5-hour game.
I mean, it's also GBA. Like, the idea is that you're just going to have it with you, and you're just going to play a little bit here and there, and this will be one of the games that you just have packed in your bag. Idea.
I
Yeah.
can see it being a thing where it's like, okay, you and your friend can now play a mini game together, and if they were meaningful and good, then that would be fine. Like the Monkey Ball games have like mini games you can unlock, right?
Mhm.
But if you want to play multiplayer, you totally can. But is that something people are really interested in? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I didn't even know this game existed until you guys brought it to my attention, unfortunately, last year. So
Don't
I
forget
do mean that.
the Mode 7 sequences. I like to call them, even though it's not Mode 7. It's not Super Nintendo, but
Oh, where you play a Zero and you're like, yeah, those are kind of fun.
Those are pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
I
that
like
was
those.
kind of a highlight.
Once I understood them, I liked them. Because at first I didn't know you go up and down. I thought you could just go left and right. I'm like, man, how are you supposed to dodge these things? I'm like, oh, you're supposed to go up. Oops.
And it's like a nice way to like travel between certain places on the map.
Yeah. I mean, this is a functional game. It wasn't bad. It was just I also played this entire game mute because I'm sick of Nightmare Before Christmas music. And it would play the same, the same songs from the movie, but with no lyrics, just the theme, just the beat in a 32-bit, 16-bit style. And I was just like, I don't want to hear any of this.
I mean, that's totally valid. It's not only do you not like it and you still somehow subject yourself to it, it's just kind of repetitive, especially when you play Kingdom Hearts and all that.
I do a lot for Minecraft, Dominic. I was kind of excited because this is a Metroidvania, and I do like Metroidvania, but this is also missing what I like about Metroidvania. There's no experience, there's no leveling up.
Yeah.
And for me, that is what I like. I don't like the Metroid style part. I like the Vania part because I need to level up. So if I get lost, if I decide to backtrack, if I'm looking for something, it doesn't bother me because then I'm at least getting experience for every enemy I kill. Where in this game, they dropped health, sure, which was fine since I wasn't really trying half the damn time, but I would have liked experience.
I mean,
I just would like the collectibles to mean more.
It's also released at a weird time because it's like 2005. DS is already out. GBA is kind of still viable because it's still playable on DS, but
everyone's gone to the new thing. I never even had a GBA as a kid. Actually, I had a Game Boy, I had a Game Boy Color, and then I had a DS. I completely skipped the Game Boy Advance library,
which makes sense because it was only around for like 3 years.
Is it only 3 years?
2001 it came out. 2004 was when the DS happened.
My God.
That explains why my grandma was so pissed off. I had a Game Boy Advance SP, and then a DS.
Yeah, and the SP was 2003. So they really didn't give you much time to like enjoy the GBA.
GBA has some amazing games too. I've seen over the years.
I've had a really fucking stupid Christmas story. So
sure, please, for time for it.
Yeah, so the SP was like their first like chargeable Game Boy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and backlit.
Yeah, and I live with my cousin who, is basically my older siblings. I remember I had that thing for I got it for Christmas. I got my Game Boy Advance for Christmas, or Game Boy Advance SP for Christmas. I got it because technically the L button went out on my gray Game Boy Advance. So I was like, Grandma, can I get a new Game Boy for Christmas? Mine's broken. And you need the shoulder buttons for at least 80% of the games.
And unfortunately, it's also not something that ever got really fixed. The shoulder buttons keep breaking, I feel like.
Really? Okay, that's interesting.
So DS, all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So she got me an SP for Christmas. It was a cherry red one. I love that thing to pieces. Whenever I got my DS, I gave it to my smaller cousin. But I remember the first time I had it, I'm laying in bed and I hear shuffling around, and I wake up and my cousin's taking a screwdriver to my SP, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, my fucking CD player died. I need batteries. And I hear him pop it open, and he just goes, what the fuck is this? I go, dude, it's on a charger. Do you not see it charging? Is that what that is? I go, yeah, dude, it fucking charges. It doesn't take batteries anymore. That's fucking bullshit. And he ran out of my room, and I'm like, okay, it's 3 a.m. I'm going back to sleep.
How old was he?
He was 18, 19. I was 13, 14.
Jesus.
He should know better at 18, 19.
He's an asshole.
I knew
take a screwdriver to it. Jesus Christ.
Well, no, this was back when people did things were just starting to create chargers. Technically, Game Boy Advance to SP, Game Boy Advance was still batteries. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I mean, if you have to unscrew something and you see it charging, you think that would compute that there's no batteries in there. Not I'm going to take this apart at 3 a.m. because I want to listen to my music.
older brother mentality syndrome.
Okay, I don't have any siblings, so I guess I don't.
Either.
But so I also respect other people's property. But
yeah,
I mean, I never had a sibling, so I know things are a little different. I know sometimes you have a different mindset, but just the simple aspect of he couldn't figure out that it didn't have batteries.
Okay, same concept. It's weird too because I was 12, 13, so I knew. So it was sitting there like the first night I had it too, same night. It's sitting there charging, and my grandma walks by and she's like, "Oh God, what is that?" And I'm like, "It's charging, Grandma." And she's like, "Oh, it takes a charger?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "You sure it's not going to overheat in the night and catch fire?" And I'm like, "No, Grandma, it's not going to overheat overnight and catch
I'm
fire."
okay with her questioning it because she comes from a different generation. But someone who's 18, 19 at this time who would have been the same age as me, because I would have been 17, 18, 2006, I turned 18. No, 2005, I turned 18. So same age as me. I was smart enough to know better, so I'm going to hold him to the same standard.
That's fair.
Like, I mean, technology, like, things change. Like, I mean, God, it was a long time ago, but I feel like 2000, like, we heard of stuff coming. Like, there was talk about chargeable batteries. Like, there would have been commercials. There would have been things that were communicating that. People would have talked about. How do you
we had cell phones.
Yeah.
No one in my house had a cell phone, I could say that.
No, but like they existed. Like the idea, this isn't like some like I could get if we were in the 1980s and all of a sudden somehow the guy had a rechargeable battery because time machine. But like this idea of someone being that confused, no, this has been 2003, so he's older than me probably then because I'm 37 right now.
Yeah, he's like 40 something.
Yeah, so he got no excuse then. We're the bus. I'm sure you don't mind.
There's no excusing stupid.
Yeah, it's just a really funny story because
It's a funny story. But also just have battery. Like I remember when batteries were like. Also for me for Game Boy, my father for some reason, he got upset that we were buying batteries for the Game Boy. He's like, this is expensive. So we went to Radio Shack. Remember those places? And he bought me a charger. You could change the voltage on the charger by hitting there's like a little dial thing that you would move and it would change the voltage. And we had it taped, and that's how I played my Game Boy, so I wouldn't waste batteries.
I had a charger for the GBA as well. We got it at Toys R Us, I think.
For the original Game Boy.
Oh.
This was a makeshift thing that worked.
Well.
It wasn't made for it. It just worked. Because it had a plug-in. You could plug it in, and you could charge it that way, and that was how we played it. I played it with in one chair I would sit in and play I think it might have been Game Boy Color, but I think I did with Game Boy too, and that's how I would play my games. So, yeah.
That's hilarious and crazy.
Yeah, my dad also would build things, like he built antennas and stuff, so he was a bit into that world. He used to do soldering before I knew what the hell soldering was. I mean, he would do, I didn't know what the hell it was as a kid, but he did all sorts of stuff like that. He would build what he called loops, which are essentially cardboard boxes wrapped in wires that would enhance your radio signal. Mm-hmm. They work, by the way. But when you ship them across the country because you're going on vacation, people wonder what the hell you're doing.
So, yeah.
He did that. And they were like, what the fuck is this shit? Why are you bringing this on a plane? What the hell is this? So back to Nightmare Before Christmas.
So something I think is interesting is I feel like when we talk about Kingdom Hearts, before and we had played the DS games and things like that, I think we kind of expected a game like this, like a side game, like a game that doesn't matter really.
That's fair.
And I think that's kind of what people assume that those games are, like 358 over 2 days and whatever else. But it's interesting when it's like, no, this is the real deal. This is like a full game with like complexity and depth and everything else. And I feel like a game like that could have been made. Like the PS2 one is much more complex and depth and deep than this, and that game kind of sucks. It's like they knew how to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder how many people have actually even played this game. Like, because this feels like something that probably just slipped by the radar too because of it being handheld. And I think at this time we as people saw handheld games as lesser, even though there's some amazing stuff on Game Boy Advance. So.
I survived off of Game Boy. I couldn't afford an actual console. So
there's a lot of great stuff on Game Boy. I loved my Game Boy as a kid, my Game Boy Color, and I had other consoles. I was fortunate enough, but I enjoyed Game Boy a lot. It was a great Game Boy Color, especially. I mean, there's some bangers on there, and Game Boy Advance. I went back through emulation and played, and there's some great freaking games.
There's a JRPG for the DS. It's a JRPG, Wizard of Oz game where it's basically.
I've heard good things about that.
It's basically what is it? It's Earthbound style, but you basically collect your team same way, like Earthbound style, and then you fight the same way. But each character has their own different abilities and things like that. I've heard it really good.
You had my interest, and then you said Earthbound, and you lost me immediately.
Well, no. So I say like Earthbound, like it's like whenever you run into an enemy, you play first person.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've been tempted to play it someday.
Yeah. And when I say Earthbound, like the crew, I mean basically like you only get the 4. So it's only Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Lion, and the Scarecrow. Like that's all. Like Earthbound, where you only get three other characters, and that's it. Yeah,
it's on my list to maybe someday try. I'm really trying to go out of my comfort zone and play more different games. Like that's kind of how this happened too, because this unlicensed games can be good. Like this game isn't bad, especially not for 2005. Like I can respect the things that it doesn't do because this is 2005 versus a game that might have come out in like let's say 2023. This Christmas theme Metroidvania that does things. I don't excuse that anymore. Like I can excuse that this game doesn't mark things on the map like, oh hey, there's a door here you should go open when you come back with the right power. Like I'm fine with that. I'm in the way that you have a hub world kinda, and then that connection to side little world. Like I felt it all was pretty smooth. The map is actually a decent map in this game.
Kind of Metroid Fusion-esque in that way. It has like the hub world and the sectors and all that.
I mean, it wasn't too bad. They even have Zero his nose glows when there's something around you should find. Like, it does little hints to let you know that there's secrets, even if sometimes the secrets are complete bullshit. It lets you know they're missing something.
Did you guys get all the weapon upgrades too and everything? I think you can. I don't think you have to get all of them to beat the game, but I know you can.
I got a couple.
I think I got most of them.
I think I got them all. Maybe not for the fire form, because you have the frog, you have pumpkin bomb, which are bombs. You have a bat, which is a long distance weapon. Your frog is essentially a melee weapon where you shoot gas right in front of you. And then you also can transform into the Pumpkin King fire thing, which is really useless except for opening doors, certain doors.
It's the thing that I said the other game we did. It's it's an easier way to also speed through a big area.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to do it a couple times, and that's where my brain wasn't thinking, because there was a section in this game where I had to look at the long play, because otherwise there would have been no way for me to get you. I wouldn't have figured out that, transform into the pumpkin thing and then just fly across the level, and that's how you get to the other side of this gap that I couldn't figure out what to do.
Yeah, it doesn't quite really tell you to do all that.
No. I do appreciate that their healing system, the way you get to full health, is like an electric chair that shocks him, then he gets all his health back. That was amusing. I did like that.
Is this sprite art?
This is sprite art.
Okay, I actually really like
Dominic.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the sprites. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sprite art in this game's really good too. I actually think
the art's good.
Yeah, everything from Jack's movements to even him doing a goofy little Kirby dance is like.
Besides him climbing, that really bothered me for some stupid reason.
I'm looking at it still, and I do not understand what.
I don't know what it is. There's something about the way his legs go from the bottom to the top to like hook him up and hook him over. I can't explain why this bothered me.
If anything, the ghost power is much more disturbing.
What ghost power?
The boot power,
where you have those like ghost squares that you like activate, and then he like extends up.
Oh, that didn't bother me.
But he gets real big and real long.
Yeah. So I also played this on a Steam Deck, which when you play Game Boy Advance games on the Steam Deck, for some reason, which I don't mind this, you can see every little pixel square. I like the way it looks. I think it's because it's just a bigger screen and better quality than what you would have been playing this on.
Oh yeah, I think that's important. Like it may not have looked as good, I think, on an old traditional screen, because it doesn't like super stand out to me. But I think when you have like a screen like a Steam Deck and you can see it a lot better, it definitely like makes you appreciate it more.
For sure. I mean, I thought this game was pretty. Like, I thought this game looked good. The graphics were fine. Like, I enjoyed it in that case. And this game isn't too long. It's about 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours. So it's not bad. I think it took me a little longer than that. I don't have a timer, unfortunately, but
really the parts that are, keeping you are like the boss fights.
Oh, I cheated those. So they weren't too bad. I save state like I wouldn't have gotten through this game as quickly had I not been save stating.
Like,
because those boss fights would have wrecked me.
That boss fight just wrecked me so many times.
I found like the first one easy, where like the first couple you can just tank the enemy if you're at full health, and you will kill them before they kill you.
Right.
You don't have to do anything, and then later on that doesn't work anymore. I don't know if we talked about yet, because I had to step away at one point. Like the whole idea with this game is that Oogie, I guess, is upset that Jack is the Pumpkin King, so he's attacking Halloween Town with bugs for some reason. That's the story.
Yeah, it's pretty nothing, stupid, but it works.
They've got bugs in them.
You've been waiting to make that joke, haven't you?
No, yeah, I've been waiting to make that joke since I told y'all that it happened at my job recently.
Yeah, someone had bugs in their equipment.
Funny enough, I was telling one of the newer guys, because they put new people around us sometimes. I've seen where people have like roaches in their routers, and the field tech will leave a note. The field tech, the guys that go out and fix the equipment and stuff, leave notes on their profile, being like, if this customer calls again and we find fucking roaches in their router, we are charging them to go out there and replace that. And it's like, oh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, roaches they don't leave once you get them. So
Yeah.
and depending on what city where you live, they're part of your life. So
No.
not where I live, but I've heard enough stories that's a thing. So from talking to Bill about New York, he's like, yeah, roaches are a thing. They live with you. Just accept it. Bill's a great story when he was at a restaurant in New York and they brought him the water and the water had a roach in it. He's like, I'll take a new water, please. And that was it. It was nothing. No big deal. Just part of life in New York. So
How does a roach get in the water?
my question is, how do you not notice it?
It gets in the ice machine.
Oh, also, how do you not notice it?
You don't give a
That's
shit.
the part that gets me. Like, I'm not surprised that it got there. I'm surprised how you didn't notice it as you brought it to a customer. But nothing is right. But so there's lots of bugs. I mean, you fight a bunch of different bug bosses, and I thought they were mostly fine. You fight a giant moth at one point. I remember giving me trouble, but it was all fine. Mediocre, but fine.
I think it's weird that we live with, at this point, which is even weirder because y'all can both agree with me. Kingdom Hearts 1 came out right before this. Maybe
A couple of years.
a couple years.
Yeah, because 2005-06 is Kingdom Hearts 2, so and 1 is not that close together.
Yeah, but either way, 1 still exists. Music in this game's not very good. It maybe has 2 tracks, and even then, like the battle theme for the bosses it's just not very good. I thought it was weird. It's like Kingdom Hearts already came out, and they have literally just 2 different songs. They really couldn't just figure that out, if not use the same thing. As much as I hate to admit it.
Very serviceable. It gets the job done.
Actually, I take that back. What was the year was this? 2005?
Yeah.
Hold on. keep talking.
It's kind of weird because usually when you have like a license thing like this, you're kind of used to it being there's only one thing coming out. Like, I don't know, like if you were licensing the Wizard of Oz, you're not expecting like there to be like a Wizard of Oz game and like a Wizard of Oz level somewhere else.
Yeah.
Usually that's like a exclusive license to make the game based on the IP.
Chain of Memories was a year before this.
Yes. And now that is a game that has amazing sprite work.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. But this is probably a quicker, something that was kind of pushed out kind of quick too. I'm assuming I can't
have to assume.
I know developer Tose. I've heard of them before. We've talked about them on this podcast before.
They did the PS2 one.
Oh, that's what we probably talked about them before. They've done a lot of games, actually. I'm looking up their... Oh, they did one of my favorite games that I want to put on the show, but I haven't forced myself to want to play it. Dragon Warrior Monsters for Game Boy Color.
Mm-hmm.
I did Metal Gear Ghost Babel. That game's fucking awesome. Also on this podcast. I really want to replay that. Okay, they've done a bunch of stuff. They did Resident Evil Survivor.
And I mean, a lot of this stuff is kind of them assisting or...
Oh, it's not. Okay.
Tose is very infamous for like being a ghost developer and for not always being credited.
Mm.
So some of these games, like this one, like the Starfy series, yeah, they're being directly credited. But other ones, they're helping or assisting. Like Ghost Babel was Konami, but also they help.
Okay. They were just someone you hired to help you get the product done on time.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Okay. I know they've come up multiple times on this podcast. So I'm like, I know this name.
Like,
I don't think they developed this game by themselves in this case, though.
Yeah, like Dragon Warrior Monsters, they also developed them by themselves as well.
That's a good game, I think. We'll see if I ever get through it. I mean, I felt this game besides there are a couple confusing parts, it did a decent job of letting me know where to go. Like, I explored this entire world a couple times. So I was looking for secrets, and even though I was in a rush to get through this fast because I had to get onto other games, I had a decent time running through it. Like, it was fun enough.
It's a nice kind of game that you can just kind of get through.
Yeah.
Because I like getting through games. I like playing a lot of different games and like beating them. So it's a nice kind of game to like just kind of throw into the mix because it can be hard at times, but it's not going to be impossible. It's not going to take you 20, 30, 40 hours. No.
And that's nice. I mean, that I prefer that. I like shorter games. I don't do a lot of open world games on this podcast. That it fucks up my timing. But sometimes you just need something quick like this. Like, this is quick. Yeah. It's serviceable. It's fun enough. Had it not been Nightmare Before Christmas, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. I really hate Nightmare Before Christmas.
How does it feel to be basically done?
It feels good. I actually do own one Nightmare Before Christmas Funko Pop, though. 1 or 2. But that wasn't my decision.
They also made Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22.
I played that. My buddy bought that for $20 at Toys R Us back in the day and was so excited when he saw it, and then he got it home and he wasn't so excited anymore.
I mean, that's most games back in like 2000.
It is garbage. Utter garbage. Look it up sometime. Like, it's a bad game. But it was also one of the only Dragon Ball Z games. Like, there weren't a lot of Dragon Ball Z games at that time that came over here. It was like one of the only ones on like PS1 that we had at the time.
Yeah, there was the GT game as well that they also made.
I think that one's even worse.
That one's like 3D looking.
Yeah, but I just remember him being all excited when he found it, and he didn't know there were other games, and he was not happy when he got it home.
Yeah, because like the Budokai games must have been happening around this time.
No, it was before Budokai had came out, because this would have been we found it when I just started high school. I graduated in 06, so 2001. Or 2002, whatever the hell. I don't want to do math.
2, and then Ultimate Battle 22 came out 2003.
Okay, so it was before that Budokai had come out, because I remember when Budokai came out.
It was after Budokai.
Oh, it is? Oh.
I mean, it was the end of the PlayStation where they could still put out games, but, you know, that doesn't mean they're going to be good.
Okay, that is completely fair. So also kind of throughout this game, we had mentioned the save points are scarecrows, essentially, because Jack is the Pumpkin King, so the scarecrows are essentially his pumpkin form that you see, I think, briefly in the movie, if I remember correctly. I don't know.
I feel like this series is very good at hinting at more lore, but never going into the lore.
Because there's never been, like, I can't believe that we never had a sequel to this movie. An actual movie sequel. Like, I'm really surprised at this point they've never done it.
There's a book sequel.
A game sequel, too, but I mean, like, a movie, like, people love this franchise. But maybe you have to do, like, if they make any more, they have to pay Tim Burton, and they're like, fuck you. So
maybe they were trying to figure out at the time if they were going to make a sequel, and that's why these games exist.
Yeah. It's really weird that these games do exist, that there's a prequel and sequel.
Yeah.
It's also weird that they're on these podcasts now. But, yeah, I mean, I do wish there was more upgrades in this game. Like, you have the 10 health upgrades. I only found 7 of them. I kind of wanted to look for the other ones, but at the same time, I didn't care enough. I also didn't even look for a map. Like, I'm sure that there's a map of this game online that somebody made that, like, shows 100%, and I could have figured out what I'm missing and where it is. I just didn't care enough to find it.
I feel like you're giving people a little bit too much credit because it's, again, there's one long play.
Yep, I did. There isn't any. So this is like Ebenezer. There isn't a map that you can find online, except there's no one charging me $3 for it.
Well, I'm looking at the Moth boss fight again. The Moth.
Yeah, there's no map. You are right. I'm surprised. Normally for Metroidvania, somebody makes a map. You are correct. There is no map for this game. Wow, that's 2 in a row. That's weird. It's happened twice to me.
This can't be that popular of a game. I wonder how many copies it sold.
They don't have that information anymore, do they? Like, that information is not easy to find, is it?
No.
Because they just don't tell people. I mean, this game got mediocre rating, like 6.5 on IGN. Like, that's not... never mind. I was going to say that's not bad, but I forget in video game terms, anything below a 7 is complete utter garbage, right? For a lot of people.
I mean, that's how people think. Doesn't mean they're right.
No, I know, but I mean, like, just when it comes to people buying stuff, I know how people look at stuff.
It's actually rather annoying that they like to do that stuff because it's like...
You're missing out.
Yeah.
There's nothing really wrong with this game as long as you don't hate Nightmare Before Christmas like some people. There's nothing wrong with this game. It's a basic Metroidvania, and especially you look at the year it came out, 2005, there were not going to be, thousands of them like there are now. Like, this is a genre that wasn't really getting the love it deserved, and if you love Nightmare Before Christmas, you don't have a lot of options.
It was on the platform that more or less codified what a Metroidvania was. Like,
yeah, but there weren't like nowadays we get a lot more that come out.
Oh yeah, but like I think the GBA is where like there were enough Castlevanias and enough Metroids that like it came together.
Yes, but I mean that's just the thing is that this game has to be recognized for that. At the time, they did something that wasn't super common if it's not from the main genres or the main series of that genre. I don't think. I mean, now because now I know like there's so many Metroidvanias that come out now all the time. It's such a common genre to make games for, where back then it wasn't as much. Because Symphony of the Night, and help define it, at least the Igavania part of it, and then you are right, like GBA had 3 great games, and then you also had 2 great Metroid games. Like, I'm sure there's other Metroidvanias on GBA, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. I know there are others. I know there's a bunch for DS also.
Yeah, but I think like in context, having this come after the Metroids, having this come after the Castlevanias, it's not as good as those, but still a treat compared to today.
if you like Nightmare Before Christmas, this is for you. It's for a smaller crowd. You got to be a fan of Metroidvanias. You got to have a Game Boy Advance that your brother didn't try to take the back battery out and break it, and you also have to like Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, it's a smaller fan base that you're forcing yourself to. I mean, I know DS had Game Boy Advance. That's how I actually played my first Game Boy Advance game was DS. This was not one of them. And then eventually you do fight Oogie Boogie, and they make you do like it. You fight him like twice in this game, which was annoying.
Yes.
And one reminded me of the Kingdom Hearts fight again, where he throws the dice. I'm so sick of that.
This came out the week after Dawn of Sorrow.
Oh, wow. Okay. What was the final Oogie Boogie fight was really, really annoying because that's the one where he rides the stag beetle. That one took me a lot of save states, and the first time I did it, I had to start over completely because I fucked myself over by saving too much and taking damage, or saving myself after taking damage. That's all I could think of.
That fucking boot that likes to swing around for some reason.
Can't hurt him, and you just have to wait.
Yeah, that shit sucks. I
did find out you can hurt him in one of the other forms. You can actually hit him, but the buoy's invincible.
But it's not. It's random. It feels like it's not like a preordained thing. Like there were times I was playing this boss where he'd fucking do the boot thing several times in a row.
It's also random, like right there what it decides. Is I would save state it, and then he would do one form, and then by the time that I got hit and I reloaded the save state, he would then do a different form. So it's decided right on the fly. The random number generator does it. Which are fun things I like to figure out about games with save states to see when the game decides to do what it's going to do. Mm-hmm. And you can do that with save states. So, but yeah, it was
that boss fight took me way too long.
Mm-hmm.
And I was warning you beforehand, like, oh, this shit sucks. But maybe this is the reason why save states exist.
Save states are the reason I get through a lot of the old games I play on this podcast in general. I wouldn't get through them. Like I remember at one point, it was before the show started, I was like, no, I'm going to beat games legit. And
I like beating games legit. I like that purity to it. And I don't begrudge you for doing it your way, but I think this is a great example of like why save states can be better.
But you see, in your definition, you probably did it. I would give up and walk away. Even before the podcast, I wouldn't stick with it. I'm like, this is stupid. I'm going to play something else.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends. I mean, some people, it works good. For me, it will frustrate me, and I will just move on. Or better yet, I just won't play your game because I know it's going to be challenging, and I don't want to deal with it because I don't want to get stuck. Because I really personally hate it when I get into a game and I can't finish it. Like, it bothers me to spend all these hours in the game and not be able to beat it. And this podcast has one. And that's because I didn't have save states. Yep. I'm going to remedy that one day with save states. I just haven't gotten around to it. I don't do a lot of recovers. Because the point of recovers was because of my co-host at the time wanted to do games that he missed, and I have less interest. I just rather do I have so many other things I do. I'm like, that takes too much time. I don't do a lot of recovers on this podcast, unfortunately. Even the ones I want to do, like Shadow of the Colossus, I've been talking about doing it to myself and other people for years. I just can't get myself to want to do it and do recovers.
I will occasionally still ask you to do a Chrono Trigger recover.
It'll happen someday. That's a game that I love, so it'll happen someday. I don't know. Just too much stuff to do. And it takes time. Those games take, so then I gotta work on our game in, so then it makes the schedule harder. And yeah. But I do love Chrono Trigger. Anything else that we should say about this game that we haven't, that you guys want to touch on?
Joe?
No, I think I'm pretty much good.
And I assume you both listen to the music, correct, for this game?
Like to sing 3 songs, yeah, it's pretty much.
But you didn't play it mute like me, so.
No, and it's one you could have played muted and it wouldn't have mattered.
It didn't at all.
It's very much a game you can put on, play, and then it's like, oh, I guess I can stream a TV show in the background too.
Like I'm watching the long play still, and actually this works pretty well with it being silent.
Yeah. It's probably more fun because you don't have to hear do 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 do. And one of the other songs, Lock, Stock, and Barrel song, I can't remember how that goes.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
There's other songs, but I don't remember. They don't stick out, but I also purposely make sure I don't hear them. So there's that too. I don't like Nightmare Before Christmas.
Well, now you're done with the games.
I'm happy that I played this because it was another Game Boy Advance game that completely skipped my radar as a guy who didn't play Game Boy Advance, and I played a new game. Like, that to me is always, whether the game is fun or not, playing a new game is still playing a new game.
Yeah. No matter what, it's always going to be new to you.
Yeah, and that's how I see things a lot of times. I still see it as a brand new experience, so I don't see it as a bad. Whether the game be good or bad, I still don't see it as a bad thing. Let's go to Shelf Stacker Box, and Joe, why don't you lead us in?
I think this game's a good, decent stack. Same as another game that we played recently. I think it's a good stack. I mean, honestly, same thing. If you need a Christmas game you need to play for your channel or for your, streaming or just the Christmas game in general, I think it's fine. It's got some rough edges, but also I think Mike said it earlier. Due to time, there's a couple excuses as to why this game.
It's 2005.
Yeah. So yeah, you play this more because tis the season, not because you're really itching for a Metroidvania. There's tons of Metroidvania knockoffs that are probably better than this, but same thing. You need something themed. This is your themed candy for the week.
People just like Nightmare Before Christmas a lot. I mean, people love it.
Yeah, people do like this movie.
For them, this is a shelf game.
Yeah.
For me, this is a box game. I have no huge attachment to this. It is fine. It is better than the PS2 game, but there are better games out there.
I think I like the PS2 game more, but I can't remember.
I like the idea of the PS2 game.
And I don't want to listen to the episode to find out what my thoughts were, so someone else can tell me if they listened to it. I didn't listen to it before.
I think we all hated it, didn't we, Dominic?
I think we ripped into it, and I think Mike was the most surprised that we were ripping into it.
I can't. I record so much and make so much that's the reason I love, because I'm like, hey, if I can just go back and see what I said, because I don't fucking remember. But I'll do mine. I'm going to put this in the box also. It was fine. Like I said, I'm glad I played it. Never going to touch it again. Not going to recommend it to people. I mean, it is essentially free because you're emulating it, because this is never getting re-released. I wish it did. I wish this got re-released in a package with Oogie Boogie's Revenge, just so people can have it.
I think this is more likely to get re-released than the other one, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, this is just like a 2D sprite-based thing. It'd be a lot less work, I think, than the other one.
As much as I don't like it and I wouldn't recommend it, I would be happy to see it exist on Steam for people who are just like, oh, what's this? Oh my god. What's this? What's this? What's this? That was not on purpose, by the way. But yes, go in the box. What's the chance that this will get re-released, do you think? Since we're kind of talking about it.
5%.
10%.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
If there is another movie happening at some point, this may be an opportunity for Disney to just be like, hey, we're just gonna put this thing on modern consoles.
What's the chance that this even exists? Like, anybody has this stuff for it?
I mean, it was a rare-ish GBA game, so I don't know if it just didn't sell well or it just.
I mean, it's late too, so
yeah.
I mean, people move on to new systems pretty quick.
I never understood, but
I don't. I purposely wait. Even now, and I have the finances to do it, I wait. I wouldn't even have a PS5 if it wasn't for my wife being a wonderful wife. I wouldn't have even gotten it. I had no, that's just who I am. I wait a while.
I have the PS5 and a Series X, but I mean, if a game was coming to PS4 or Xbox One, and I think it's interesting to play that version, I will.
Yeah, I've never been the kind of guy that needs to get the newest system right away. I like to wait until the second iteration. I was originally going to wait for PS5 to have another iteration, but the Pro, it's another iteration that was smaller and cheaper.
Mm-hmm. Not that PS5 Pro, because there's the regular, the Slim, and the Pro. That Pro is so not worth it, and I hate that they're trying to get rid of the Slim models too. So it's oh no, you can only buy Pro, because holy shit, is that Pro? Well, that Pro was super not needed.
No, it just, they're trying to get money out of this generation, because this generation's just been nothing but a nightmare for them because of COVID. So that's a whole other thing, and people aren't. Yeah, but I have no interest. I do kind of want a Series X sometimes, just because I have a lot of Xbox One games that I would probably never play, but I don't like the idea that I can't because I don't have a working Xbox One.
I agree with you on that too. I'm on the verge of trying to convince myself not to buy a Series X, because I have so many Xbox games that I want to replay that I bought back in the day.
I also have bought. When it comes to regular Xbox, I have a ton, but I'm not touching those until someday. I think Xbox emulation has gotten there, but that's what I'm waiting for. I just haven't really looked into it. I want save states. One game I've talked about on this podcast I want to play someday is Breakdown.
Ooh.
I'm not playing it until I have save states. So, not happening. And I think Xbox emulation is there, but I never really paid a lot of attention to it, so I don't know.
I think it's PS3 emulation. I think it's kind of there. I think maybe there's very specifically 3 or 4 games that you can't play, but it's doable, I think.
Yeah. Maybe one day. Because there's a few Xbox exclusive games. So Togi, for example, is another one of games I want to play, but I'm not playing until I can emulate them, just for safety. I own them. They're sitting there to the right of me right now, but I'm emulating if I'm playing. So Simple as
But I
that.
mean, you do play a number of games that aren't emulated.
Newer stuff, yes. Not old stuff. Because 360 and on is the generation where they become friendlier with letting you finish a game by giving you more options and more checkpoints and make the game not as challenging, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So that gen on, I play a lot of things legit. And I'm not bad at game. Like Kobe was talking about it before. He's like, I've seen you play Bloodborne. You are not that bad. You are better than you say, than you act. And he is right. It's just also time.
But you think
I
you got through Bloodborne, so like that's
Twice.
important in itself.
I beat that game twice. I beat Dark Souls 1. I beat Metroid Dread, and there were no save dates in Metroid Dread.
Man, so you got through it.
Yeah,
I can play games. I got it. The skill is there. It's just, I don't like to invest a lot of time. I also beat Metroid Dread in a week, so.
you can beat
Go to
Metroid Dread
episode
in a week. That game's surprisingly not long.
No,
No,
but
no Metroid
that final
game is
boss beats the shit out of you if you're not smart, or if you're not good, I should say.
Yeah, that final boss likes to like kiss you with no lipstick. It's
That's not. There are better metaphors you could have went with.
there is a better metaphor that I could go with, but I should not say that on the podcast.
I know it. I was actually thinking the exact same thing, but I didn't say it either. But all right, I think neat. I don't think anything else. Let's go to plugs. And Dominic, where do you find you at?
You can find me on the Distant Ways podcast on YouTube. I'm on the Overblood Facebook group, and yeah, that's I don't really want to promote my Twitter anymore because that's not really a
What's
thing.
Twitter?
So, exactly.
I uninstalled it earlier in November for some weird reason. There was a certain day where I said, fuck it, I'm done, and it got uninstalled immediately. I don't know why, huh? But yeah, I quit Twitter. I mean, my account still exists, but I don't post, I don't check, I'm done.
Yeah.
Once I was done, I'm like, fuck this place.
Yeah.
So, all right. And if you enjoyed this episode, over 700 other episodes of this podcast, we do movies, comics, TV shows, games. If you want to hear the rest of our Nightmare stuff, you will see a link in the show notes to the other 2 Nightmare Before Christmas items that we have done. So check those out if you want more. And if you want to support us, we do have a Patreon. Little dog, you vote in our Patreon polls. We have 1 to 2 a month, so definitely go check out the podcast. Check that out. I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro. Courtesy of Elena at Hell Has Fury. Follow her on TikTok and Instagram. And check out Gamer Looks at 40 with Bill Tucker. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, YouTube, TikTok. Make some videos. And rate and reviews wherever you get your podcast, please. It helps out the algorithm, and it makes me happy because Spotify, I'm trying to get more reviews. I want to beat one of my favorite podcasts, and I'm not that far off from it, which I find surprising. So they've been going for 6 years and interesting stuff. So definitely go, please rate and review us. Right? I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.